had always loved drama and dressing up, and my mum had tried her best to give me a love of Shakespeare from an early age. It sounds pretentious as all hell, I know, but one year, when I was 14, I decided I wanted to go all out for Halloween, and I would dress up as Puck from A Midsummer Night's Dream, with pointy ears and everything. Something about the idea appealed to me, that all the other kids would be in store-bought vampire costumes with lame nylon capes and plastic teeth, and I would show up as a Shakespearean character in a West End quality costume. It wasn't about making the others look bad, it was more about the sheer absurdity of it all. I think that I liked. My mother, ever indulgent, agreed to help me make the costume, but she was very clear that I would be the one making it, not her. It's the 90s now, Daniel. Boys should learn to sew and make clothes too. And I agreed. I quite liked the idea of making the costume myself. One Saturday, 2 weeks before Halloween, we went into town to get the stuff we needed, and we went to this old, weird-looking fabric store at the edge of town. I'd never seen it before, though I went down this street almost every day. The woman inside was ancient, but warm and friendly, with a mischievous smile, and she soon directed us to a ream of lovely, shiny green velvet that was soft and warm and oddly beautiful. "It's really special material," she said. "You could make a really lovely dress out of this." "Oh, I'm making a Halloween costume. I'm going to be Puck, the fairy from A Midsummer Night's Dream?" She smiled indulgently. This fabric might be best used for a gown or a dress, though. I find that some materials are they're best suited to particular projects, and this velvet wants to be used in a ball gown or something like that." I smiled. But it's absolutely perfect for my project." She picked up a dressmaker's pattern from beside the counter. "It's just that this fabric really wants to be made into something like this," she said, waving a pattern for an elaborate dress pattern that looked like something a medieval princess might wear. "I'm sure that would look lovely," said my mother with a smile, "but we're going to use this for my son's costume, if that's okay with you. If you don't, I'll give you the head of a donkey," I said with a laugh. Mum glared at me, as this was maybe a little rude, but the shopkeeper just laughed. "Well, in that case, it's yours. The customer is always right after all." She looked through the patterns that were for sale and found what she wanted, a waistcoat and baggy trouser combination that would be perfect for Puck. We bought the fabric and then went for pizza. When we got home, my mum cleared the table, ready to start cutting out the cloth, while I made her a cup of tea, which she insisted was a vital part of the crafting process. I went along with this division of labour. She was the expert after all. "Oh, that's weird," she said, her tone of voice more than a little annoyed. "What is it?" "There must have been some kind of mix-up in the shop. I somehow got that dress pattern instead of the one for your trousers and waistcoat." She handed me the booklet, and sure enough, there was a picture on the front of a slightly drippy-looking girl in a big flowing dress, standing on a beach and looking dreamy. "What do we do?" I asked. "Well, I guess we'll have to go back and exchange the pattern," she said. "Unless you want to wear a dress instead. Maybe you could be Titania or something?" She chuckled a little at this. As she said it, though, I felt a strange sort of tingle in the air, a strange dreamlike sensation. I laughed and shook my head. "Yeah, right, Mum. Sure." She looked at the booklet. "It's such nice fabric, though, and it is a really pretty pattern. It is a bit of a shame not to make the dress. It'd save us a trip back into town." As she said it, I felt a thought appear in my head, say yes. "You'd look so pretty." The thought felt a little weird, almost like it had been put there by someone else. "No, come on, we need to get back and get the new pattern, or we won't get a chance to get anything done today." We got back onto the bus and set off into town, but when we got to the street, we couldn't find the shop. "It must be further down," she said. "No, it was beside this newsagent. I'm sure because there was the new 2000 AD in the window," I replied. "Yes, but it's not there, is it?" We went up and down the street 4 times, and then tried a couple of different streets in the assumption that we'd somehow misremembered the street. But we couldn't find it. It was like it had disappeared into thin air. We shrugged and went home. By that point, it was too late to do anything else, and we had other things we wanted to do that evening, so we gave up for the night. We figured we'd find another pattern tomorrow at a different shop, and I suggested I could go to the library and look for one on the internet. We watched TV and went to bed. That night, I had a crazy dream. I was in a clearing in a forest, and I was wearing a green dress, and I was surrounded by nymphs and dryads and fairies, both the tiny little kind that fluttered around, Tinkerbell style, and the human-sized, Shakespearean kind. There was some kind of celebration happening, but I wasn't quite sure what it was, though I seemed to be the centre of attention. I realised I had wings growing out of my back, and I could make them move if I flexed the right muscles. As I walked to the front of the clearing, I saw a group of figures, one holding a tiara on a red cushion. I walked over to it. The other creatures had now split down the middle to form an aisle, and I knelt down. I was to be the queen, and this was my coronation. All I had to do was to take the crown in my hands and put it on my head, but I hesitated for a moment. Did I have what it takes to be a queen? Did I have the authority? Would I lead my people wisely? I knelt there for a moment, hesitating, and then I realized the other creatures around me were getting nervous. Why wasn't I taking the crown? I tried to reach forward and take it, but something stopped me. That was when I woke up. I went down for breakfast, and I made myself some cereal. And my mum appeared a few minutes later, wearing a dressing gown, and she put the kettle on to make herself some coffee. I had the weirdest dream last night, she said, and I frowned, because she never talked about her dreams, and because I had just had a weird dream too. Maybe there was a storm or something and it disrupted our sleep. Oh yeah? I said. Yeah, it was about your dress, she said. She stopped for a moment and corrected herself. Your puck costume, I mean. We tried to make it into a waistcoat and trousers, but somehow it turned into a dress along the way. You wore it anyway, though. You looked so good. But then we ended up in this forest, and there were all these fauns and dryads and stuff. And I saw some of my old friends too, from school and from uni, and they were saying what a pretty daughter I had. Oh, that's nice, I said, a little embarrassed. So, when I woke up, I got thinking, she said. I mean, I know I was joking when I said it first, but what if you did go as Titania instead of Puck? It's such a beautiful pattern, some lovely material, and it would look so good. And I know that you could make something that would absolutely make everybody's jaws just drop. Just think about it, the other kids would be so amazed to see you. I shook my head. Nah, I couldn't pull it off. I don't have what it takes to be Titania. What do you mean? I dunno. Grace, poise, majesty, authority. Nobody would ever take me seriously as a queen. You just see yourself as somebody else's mischievous servant? She asked, frowning slightly. No, I said, but I wasn't sure I really meant it. I felt a little sad that I would never be able to be a capable or convincing Titania. As I thought that, a stupid little thought piped up and said, yeah, because you're a guy. And I was sort of aware that boys didn't wear dresses nowadays, and people might laugh at me and say I was gay and it could be a problem, but that didn't seem to matter as much anymore. After all, back in Shakespeare's time, all the female parts were played by boys. It would be perfectly reasonable for me to be Titania. I just didn't have the authority to be a queen. You sure I can't convince you? She said. I shook my head a little sadly. I wouldn't enjoy it. I'd feel too self-conscious. Ah, she said. That's a shame. I was kind of looking forward to making a dress with you. I love you to bits, you know that, but you're my only kid, and your dad and I broke up before we could have any other kids. I do sort of wish I had a daughter who I could do stuff like this with, you know. I'm never going to get to see my kid in a pretty dress, and that's kind of sad. I nodded. Part of me wanted to say yes, to say let's try it, if only for her, but I knew I couldn't. We ate our breakfast, and then got on with the rest of our day. We went from craft shop to craft shop, and we even tried the internet. It was the first time Mum had ever been on the internet, and we sat in the library, searching on Yahoo, and hopping around GeoCities web rings, looking for a good pattern. I think the boys in the seats opposite us, who were playing Doom, were amused by us, a guy their age looking for sewing patterns while they shot at monsters. I didn't care particularly. I was more annoyed that we couldn't find anything that looked right. Now I had seen the dress, and dreamed of it, everything else seemed like a disappointment in comparison. We went home frustrated and annoyed. Days passed, Halloween was looming, and I was at an impasse. I kept dreaming about the dress, about the coronation, and every morning I woke up depressed, knowing that I could never pull it off in real life. As time passed, something started to change in me, and 2 days before Halloween, I decided to speak to my mum about it. Mum? I asked. She could tell from the tone of my voice that I wanted to talk about something important. She switched off the television and smiled at me. Yes, dear? I've been thinking about Halloween. Would it be weird for me to dress as a girl? To go as Titania? She smiled. Weird? There are more things under heaven and earth, Horatio, than are dreamt of in your philosophy. Wrong play, I said with a smile. She shrugged. There's nothing weird about it. You're wearing a costume on a day that's all about dressing up. That's normal, surely. But do you think I would look... I stopped. Stupid, I guess. It wasn't the right word, but I don't think the right word even existed. No, she whispered. We can make you look beautiful. We can make jaws drop and blow minds. And honestly, we have a few days. We can give it a shot. And if it doesn't work, we can always, I don't know, do something else, I guess, I said. I really want to make that dress, she said. I nodded. Does anything seem off about this to you? I said. I mean, a week back I would never have even thought about dressing up as a girl. You would never have suggested this. But since we bought that fabric and got that pattern, I trailed off, not knowing what to say. I know what you mean. Things feel strange, somehow. Like we're under a spell or something. But it's okay, isn't it? Yeah. So, shall we do it? Make the dress? Yeah, sure. Tomorrow evening, we'll set to work. I couldn't wait for the school day to end. More than usual, I mean. I raced home. I got everything ready before we even had our tea. The pattern, the fabric, pencils, thread, the sewing machine, the needles, all the bits and pieces. We ate a quick meal of fish fingers and chips. And then, we were ready to start. We stuck on some music, Jagged Little Pill, the only album we can agree on minus us, and we drew and cut and sewed and embroidered until finally it was finished. Should I try it on? I said. I felt nervous, as I had never worn a dress before. No. What? Not yet. You need to get ready first. What do you mean? I know you're nervous about this, honey. I want you to get the full effect. You're not seeing it on until we're all ready, hair, makeup, all that stuff. Okay, I said. You go get into the shower, yeah? She said. We're going to make you into a queen. Okay. I started to head upstairs, but then she told me to wait. She ran off for a moment and returned with a plastic shopping bag containing a floral shampoo, conditioner, a girl's body wash, and a packet of razors. You'll need to shave your legs, she said. And I don't want my daughter smelling of Lynx Africa like some sweaty teen boy. I blushed. I want you to be thorough here. Take pains. Be perfect. She called, as I, and went off to the shower with a belly full of butterflies. I washed my hair and shaved my legs as directed, and soon I was ready to come out. I wrapped my towel around my chest, just like a teenage girl would, and came out of the steamy bathroom. My daughter, she said, with a smile. I blushed. Part of me felt like I really was a girl. Part of me felt like I was still only pretending. She led me through to my room, and she handed me a Topshop bag. It contained panties and a bra, and a big white t-shirt/nightie with Garfield on it. He was holding a skateboard and wearing some sunglasses, while Odie stood behind him with his arms folded, looking tough. I blushed and undid my towel. Mum turned away. I picked up the panties and I stepped into them. They were white, with a pink bow on the front, and as I pulled them up, I felt a strange surge of pride and humiliation. A real boy would never wear these, so I must be something better than a boy. The bra matched the panties perfectly, and I put my arms through the armholes and my mum did it up behind me and adjusted the straps. Put the t-shirt on for now, while I do your hair. Mum wasn't a professional hairdresser by any means, but she used to cut her friends' hair as a teenager, and she still gave me and some of her friends the odd trim. Your hair's gotten really long this past couple of weeks, she said. It's pretty weird. I smiled. A lot of things had been a bit weird lately. What sort of style would you like? I want one like Rachel from Friends, I said. She smiled. Yeah, I thought you would. She got out her scissors and snipped and trimmed and clipped until, a little later, she smiled. Can I see? I asked. Of course not. She snapped, her tone mock angry. I still need to do the makeup. She applied eyeliner, lip gloss and mascara, and then smiled. Now it's time for the dress, she said. She helped me get it on over my head, and then I was done. Now can I see myself? Of course, Your Majesty. I walked through to her bedroom. I felt like I was in a dream. I kept looking down at my arms and legs and all this green velvet. I didn't feel like Daniel anymore. Perhaps I never had. Not really. As I walked into my mother's room, I closed my eyes and she led me to her mirror. Okay, open them, she said. I did so, and I gasped in shock. It wasn't that I didn't recognize myself. That would have been weird, but this was far stranger. I recognized myself, but I was a girl now. I didn't look like Daniel in a dress, though, or Daniel dressed as a girl. I saw... who exactly? Look not with the eyes, but with the mind. I muttered to myself. Did I look like a girl? Or was I just imagining I saw a girl? Or had I always looked like a girl and I was finally seeing my real self? Suddenly I felt scared, like my sense of self had been stolen. Who was I? It was like there was a little part of me that wasn't there anymore. Oh, my beautiful daughter, whispered my mother. You need a name. A name fit for a girl as pretty as you. We waited for a moment, both staring at my face in the mirror. Amy, we whispered together. I smiled. I was Amy. Do I really look like a girl? Yes. You look beautiful, Amy. I'm not very, You know. Up top, I said, a little sad. My bra was pretty empty. Though she be but little, she is fierce, said my mother, with a smile. Did it matter? No, not at all. Lots of girls my age were flat-chested after all, and they too worried about what people thought of them because of it. My lack of boobs didn't make me any less feminine, after all, but in a way, connected me to millions of other girls who felt the same way about their bodies as I did. What time is it? Nearly 11. You need to go to bed. Yeah, I guess I do. I am pretty tired. Yeah, I don't want to go back to being Daniel though. Not so soon. Don't then. I got you girl pajamas for a reason. What do you mean? I mean, stay as Amy. At least until Halloween. I smiled. I could see no reason why not. She helped me take the dress off, and then my makeup, and then I changed into my jams, cleaned my teeth, hugged her goodnight, and got into Daniel's bed and went to sleep. When I woke up, my first thought was that last night had been a dream. Are you sure that we are awake? I muttered. It seems to me that yet we sleep, we dream. But I could feel that I was wearing a big open shirt, and I could feel my panties clinging to my buttocks. I got out of bed and went to the bathroom, sat down on the toilet and peed. As I got up, I realised that that was kind of weird. Not just that I did it, but I did it without thinking. Amy, shouted my mum. Don't get into your school uniform, okay? Huh? Just come and get your breakfast, just stay in your jams. Trust me. I went downstairs and got some cereal. So Amy, she said, I've decided that you should take the day off school today. It's your first day as a girl, so you should spend it living as one. And honestly, there's so much stuff we need to do and stuff we need to get sorted out for your Halloween. We need to carve pumpkins and buy you some shoes and make you a tiara and all that kind of thing. But I don't have any clothes. I mean, only my dress. And I stopped. I didn't want to say it, but I didn't want to wear Daniel's boy clothes anymore. There was something confusing about all this, though. Wasn't this just supposed to be a Halloween costume? I mean, it makes sense that I should practice being a girl, but Mum would never let me take a day off school like this. It didn't seem reasonable. But then, truth, reason and love keep little company together nowadays. That's okay, she said. This is a little embarrassing to admit, but she hesitated for a moment. I've been buying you some girl clothes. I was looking for some new stuff for Daniel Minus, and my mind wandered, and I accidentally drifted into the girls section. I sort of bought you some girl clothes without even realising. That's a bit odd, isn't it? She shrugged. It didn't really matter. There was a really nice dress and a few other bits, and I thought that maybe they'd come in handy if you decided to go out as Titania tonight. My heart skipped a beat. You got me a dress? Why was I so excited about this? I never got excited about clothes. Just one or two, she said, with an embarrassed smirk. Eat your breakfast first. I made my breakfast, ate it, and I rushed upstairs to try on my new clothes. A few minutes later, I came back down dressed in black tights, a denim skirt, and a pink t-shirt. She smiled at me. The rest of the day was a flurry of activity. She taught me to walk like a girl, smaller steps, feet closer together, and to sit like a girl, legs together, smooth your skirt down under you as you sit, and even eat like a girl, smaller bites, dear. It sounds like nagging, but it was always kind, and I felt like I was learning so much. Then we went out and bought some sparkly green shoes to go with the dress, some jewellery making equipment, some pumpkins, and a mountain of sweets for any trick-or-treaters. The rest of the day was a bit of a daze. We made a tiara Mum used to make jewellery, so she knew what she was doing and it looked great, and carved the pumpkins, and then it was time to get ready. Then she did my makeup. We chose green eyeliner and eyeshadow, and sparkly green nail polish, and when I was ready, I put the dress back on. This is all kind of strange, isn't it? I said. A couple of weeks back I would have died of embarrassment rather than wear a dress. You would never buy me panties to wear. But now I'm dressing as a girl, living as a girl, and it all feels totally normal. What's going on? I guess there's just something a little magical about that dress of yours, she said with a shrug. I suppose, but am I being mind-controlled, or… I don't think so, she said. I think that some people are boys, and only ever want to be boys, and some people are girls, and only ever want to be girls, but then there's a lot of people in the middle, who are just happy enough being whatever they happen to be at the time. And I don't think your dress is evil or anything. I think it chose you, because it knew this would be good for you. I hugged her. I knew this would end some time, and I knew I would have to go back to being regular old Daniel, but for now I was Amy, and for now I was Titania, and for now it was Halloween. Mum hugged me and I went out into the street, and I met some of my friends. They didn't recognize me at first, but Sarah figured it out first and gasped in shock, and she tried to cover it up, but then her boyfriend Sean twigged too. And they gasped and they laughed and they said how amazing I looked, and they asked where I got the costume and they said they couldn't believe I'd made it myself. Then we started to go from door to door. A couple of houses said we were looking too old for this stuff, but others said it was good we were still out having fun. And then we met Stephen and Nora and their respective little siblings and we all laughed. Little Janie said she liked me more now I was a girl, and that I was so pretty, and I smiled. Suddenly, everything felt utterly unreal and we just seemed so full of joy. Maybe it was the sugar rush, but it seemed like so much more than that. Then I went home with a bucket full of sweets and chocolate, and I hugged Mum. But it was over now. It was all over. And I realised that I was fine with not being Titania anymore, though I would have loved to play her on stage, and I would be happy to pack the dress away and maybe never even wear it again. But the thought of packing Amy away too felt awful, and I started to cry. And Mum hugged me and asked what it was, and I couldn't even put it into words. So she hugged me, and then I went upstairs to my bedroom to get changed into my pyjamas. And as I did so, something seemed a little off. My room seemed slightly different, though I couldn't quite think what it was. I took the dress off and rubbed my back where my bra had been digging in, and then took it off and stared in shock at my boobs, which were small, but a lot bigger than they had been in the morning. With trembling hands, I pulled down the front of my panties. I was a girl now, and I smiled, because it didn't actually feel that different to being a boy. And I knew that the world was changing. I went to my cupboard and found it full of beautiful dresses, and I went to my drawers and found they were full of panties and bras and tights as well. My bookshelf was full of old Mallory Towers and Babysitter's Club books, and I had a box of dolls lying at the back of my wardrobe. I was a girl now, and I had suddenly always been a girl, and nothing had changed, and everything had changed. It was all good. I went downstairs to tell my mum. She hugged me and smiled. I had a feeling something like this might happen, she said. Time passed. Days turned into weeks, then months, and then years. By the next day, everyone I knew had forgotten I had ever been a boy. I started to forget too. I usually started to remember around Halloween, and I'd start to wonder if I should turn back into a boy. I knew I could. I just needed to make the right costume and I'd change back again. But after a while I realised I was happy as I was. I grew up, dated some boys, went to university, got a few jobs, and after a while I forgot I had ever been a boy. I met a wonderful man and I had 2 wonderful kids. And then we found my dress again one Halloween. But that's a different story.